Hamburg, the third biggest port in Europe. Two men are intending to smuggle a delivery of cocaine out of a terminal. While one tampers with the computer system, the other picks up the container with a straddle carrier. Two accomplices are waiting nearby and are getting nervous because the man who's supposed to drive the container away in a truck has not arrived.
Where's the driver?
No idea. He should be there.
Investigators call them port insiders because they know the facility.
The insiders know the port like the back of their hand.
The cocaine cartel makes billions in profits with their help and pays well.
And if you want out, they threaten you with really serious violence.
Because cartels defend their market by any means necessary.
The amount of money at stake means these people are prepared to kill.
The Valparaiso Express is preparing to dock in Hamburg with a cargo of bananas from Ecuador. Hidden away among the myriad of shipping pallets in the container are 595 packages of cocaine. Nearly 600 kilograms in total, worth around 18 million euros. The cargo is unloaded in the early morning hours. The container with the drugs is now in the block storage area for refrigerated goods. But the shipment is intercepted. The German police and customs authorities have received a tip-off from the United States. The following morning, they replace the drug packages. Then they reseal the container and attach a GPS transmitter. For this film, we were given access to the findings of the Joint Customs and Police Narcotics Investigation Team. It was an instructive case for them too. Manuela Forst was the lead investigator on the customs side.
We received a tip-off from a foreign agency about 3 containers, one or more of which were suspected of containing an undetermined quantity of cocaine. We investigated and learned that the Valparaiso Express was due to arrive from South America that day.
The coca plant is cultivated primarily in Colombia, Bolivia and Peru. Cocaine usually leaves South America by ship, which is why freighters from this region are deemed high-risk vessels. Any shipment could contain drugs.
Let's go.
A new working day begins for Dominik and Alexander from Hamburg Customs. For their protection, we're only allowed to use their first names. As always, they release the safety on their pistols so they're ready if needed.
We do sometimes carry automatic weapons too. The other side will be upping their firepower, so we have to as well.
And do you have adequate equipment?
It could always be better and more.
Sky, a sniffer dog, is also part of the customs inspection team. She's trained to detect drugs and can sniff out 8 different substances, from marijuana to cocaine.
On our way. Typical morning madness.
Today, they're being deployed to the Oswaldkai section of the port. Around 8 million containers are handled annually in the Port of Hamburg, packed with everything from rice and televisions to toys and machine parts. And time again, contraband. Customs officers conduct searches for weapons, cigarettes, protected animal species, and drugs. Inside the refrigerated containers are crates of bananas, which are forwarded to ripening facilities. Banana shipments are a popular cargo cover for cocaine smugglers.
Sitz.
Let's see which container we want.
Let's take the one on the outside. He'll drop the bananas there, and we can have a look.
Goodie. So. Macht ihr den leer oder? Ja?
Alexander asks a dock worker emptying a container to set a few pallets aside for customs inspection.
Ja, vorne an die Ecke gleich. Ja, genau. Ja, okay, kriegen wir hin.
So set the pallets down there, and you can move them later, okay? Thanks.
Danke dir.
Hamburg is a major seaport and a major cocaine trafficking hub, with buyers across Europe. The quantities of drugs seized here are enormous.
Der Hamburger Hafen wird offenbar gerade regelrecht mit Drogen überschwemmt.
More than 2 tons of cocaine were seized in 2024, smuggled in banana crates.
Es ist ein Schlag gegen die organisierte Kriminalität.
But the flood of the drug continues unabated. Cocaine smuggling is a thriving billion-euro business. In 2013, officials seized 380 kilograms of cocaine in the Port of Hamburg. By 2020, that figure had risen to 6 tons, and to over 18 a year later. In 2022, 8.5 tons. And in 2023, seizures rocketed to a total of 35 tons, almost 100 times as much as 10 years earlier.
So, komm zu.
Dominic and Alexander inspect the container walls for hiding places.
Ja, du bist immer ein bisschen aufgeregt, ne? Ist gut. Die Bananen werden ja.
The bananas are cooled on their way from South America, so they arrive green. The cooling unit at the back of the refrigerated container has an inside and an outside. We'll look at the interior compartments, because there's enough space here to stow something that doesn't belong.
Genug Stauraum und irgendwas reinzupacken, was da nicht sein dürfte. Dann kann man sich natürlich.
Then we'll take another look at these panels to see what might be behind them. Careful. Sometimes you have to get your hands dirty.
Nix?
Nothing? Okay.
Vorsicht, nicht erschrecken.
This container is clean. Next, the customs agents want to inspect some actual cargo. Up to 30 container ships enter the Port of Hamburg every day. In recent years, Rotterdam and Antwerp, Europe's 2 largest ports, have become the main gateways for South American cocaine trafficking. But there are now fears that Hamburg is taking over top spot. Smugglers are flexible. If inspections are stepped up at one port, they simply move elsewhere. Smugglers X and Y arrive at the terminal. Their job is to redirect the container, which is supposedly filled with cocaine and is currently still scheduled for onward transport by ship. X manages logistics at the port and now tampers with the computer system. It works. Smuggler Y is able to pick up the container. But there is a problem. Where is the truck that is supposed to take the cocaine shipment out of the port? Y roams the port grounds with the cargo. That makes the other smugglers B and C nervous, They too have reached the terminal. What they don't know is that their car has been bugged and the police are listening in.
My boy has the box. Where's the driver?
I have no idea. He should be there.
The insiders know the port like the back of their hand. They can access and even interfere with logistical processes and pass this information to organized crime. We assume that the great majority of port employees are actually doing an honest job, and that there is only a small number of corrupt black sheep.
Oliver Erdmann from the Hamburg State Criminal Police was on Manuela Vost's investigating team. He's now chief of the Port Security Center. It was set up in 2024 to coordinate the work of customs, police, prosecutors, and port management authorities.
These port insiders operate in key positions in the port, and without them, nothing would work. They play a very important part in drug smuggling. We want to get them out of circulation and break the transport chain. That's the goal.
The Maritime Competence Center trains bridge crane and forklift operators, logistics specialists, and other port industry personnel. People who are also of interest to the mafia. That's why this workshop also focuses on raising awareness of drug gangs' recruiting tactics. The concept was developed jointly by Customs and the police. Anja von Schirach leads the seminar.
Through you, they can potentially gain access to internal port processes that they would not otherwise have. How else would they do it? They have to get the information somehow. So you might be asked to pass on information they find useful, like where a particular container is located, which container has which number, whatever they need, because you can probably get hold of that information very easily.
More than 50,000 people are employed in the port, in administration, as cargo transporters, or on the docks.
It's very tempting because of the incredible size of the bribes. Something like a little information or a photo of a container will get you 30,000 euros. More detailed information that really helps them, and you're quickly up to 1, 2, or 300,000 euros, which for them is small change. But when you've done it once, you're part of their system. And let's say you then change your mind because you suddenly realize that things are getting dangerous and you're compromised. If you want out, they threaten you with really serious violence. So once you're in, it's not easy to get out again.
The criminal gangs also approach port staff during their free time and on social media. An issue that is also addressed at the workshop.
The fact that we are making you aware of this issue does not mean that you are all under general suspicion. It's not a case of dock workers being high risk because they receive lucrative offers. It is simply to protect you and make you aware that this happens all the time. In every shift you work, it happens somewhere on the sidelines, and you may not even be aware of it.
I don't think that anyone here feels under blanket suspicion when you say some people are involved, or that some people have fallen for these campaigns. I don't believe that. We're dock workers, and don't tend to be fazed by that.
Knowing the smuggling methods will help them notice if something is wrong. The teaching material shows them how the gangs operate. One method is to conceal cocaine within legal goods. Another is to open a container, pack it with drug-filled bags, and put a fake seal on it. Alternatively, the cocaine is hidden in the container walls. And sometimes, speedboats are used to load it on and off the ships, with the crew's help.
If you're offered 10 or 15,000 euros, it might seem like a lot of money at that moment. But if I still have 20 years until retirement, then 10 or 15,000 euros isn't enough to last me if I lose this job or go to prison.
If you do it once, you'll never get out of it. It's like quicksand. It won't be just the one time. Then the pressure builds because you have a family and children. Thanks, but no thanks.
The core message of the police campaign is that it is in the employees' own interest to resist those recruitment efforts.
Easy money for a dock worker or anyone else.
Not just for us as dock workers, but in general, I can totally understand it when a young person has started a family, built or bought a house, and then realizes that they have a huge mountain of debt and just need to share a photo or a little bit of information to get a 5- or 6-figure sum. I can understand that. But they're old enough to make the right decision.
Back at the customs inspection, Dominic, Alexander and Sky are now checking banana crates. Around 300 agents work in the field. Exactly where and when they are deployed is confidential.
In principle, we don't tell anyone how many agents we currently have out there. You can't assume that just because it's the weekend, customs won't have as many people on duty. We always have enough agents on duty, and we don't want to give anyone an unfair advantage.
The customs officers rely on their four-legged colleague to find hidden drug stashes.
If she finds something, she will just freeze in position and let me know by not moving at all. She'll still be wagging her tail excitedly, but I'll know we need to take a closer look.
Dominic has to guide the dog and show her which cargo to sniff.
This one next.
If Sky were to find drugs, we would have had to stop filming so as not to compromise the investigation. Finding nothing would be frustrating for any sniffer dog, but it won't have to stay that way.
I have a glove contaminated with amphetamine. Now I'll stuff it in here so the dog can reach it easily. This is so she doesn't get discouraged and has a sense of success. She needs this affirmation because otherwise, just like us humans sometimes, she'll lose interest.
Great. And the next one.
The eagerly awaited truck driver has spent the night in his cab. His regular job is as a driver at the port too. His mafia assignment is to transport the container that is supposedly full of cocaine. He receives the release pin code he needs by phone and books a slot to pick up the container. Outside the gate, smugglers B and C are still worried that he's not going to show up and are wary of the potential consequences.
Those guys we know from jail don't mess around. They're serious, man. We're just like pawns in all of this.
Or bishops.
Like the cartels, bang, 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 no thanks. I've got to try something, anything. I'm a soldier. I'm going through the turnstile with my brother's card. If anything happens to me, he'll know what to do.
I'm absolutely sure that the port insiders are also at risk from the group they're working for. Because taking on that job means they have to be sure they can get the cocaine out of the port facility. If they fail, they could potentially face repercussions from organized crime. Either you carry on or you owe us.
If cocaine goes missing, and it's not certain that it's been seized, the cartels look for a culprit. Port insiders may also be suspected of having stolen the goods, and the consequences can be dire. Drug smuggling, homicides, and organized crime in the Hamburg region are investigated here at the Public Prosecutor's Office. Chief Prosecutor Lars Mahnke heads the department and is familiar with how the cartels operate.
We combat drug-related crime and homicide in one department. So we know very well whether a homicide is drug-related or not. We found that, regardless of the group involved, the amount of money at stake means these people are prepared to kill.
Ein 27-jähriger Gast wird regelrecht hingerichtet.
July 2022, a targeted individual was shot through the heart. In September 2022, another with a shot to the head. In October 2024, a man was executed in his stairwell in a drug-walled turf war. These are just a few examples of many. In the neighboring Netherlands, the tranquility is deceptive. The cocaine mafia has a long-established presence here. The port of Rotterdam, Europe's largest, is one of its main hubs. The terminals stretch over a distance of 40 kilometers to the North Sea. Around 14 million containers are processed here every year, almost twice the number as Hamburg. And with some ships inevitably bringing in cocaine, Rotterdam shows what happens when drug cartels take root. Jan Janse is chief of the Rotterdam Seaport Police.
We have all kinds of crimes that are related to this drug smuggling in our towns. So we see a lot of explosives going on, that criminals amongst each other, they target each other with guns or with explosives. We see a lot of money laundering. We see a lot of front stores, fake companies that have the only intention of being involved in crime. We see corruption. That's what's going on now with this immense international drug smuggle going on. We have done a lot because this is a seven-headed monster, as we say, and you have to intervene at all heads.
The drug cartels are a challenge to the state, with various cases between 2018 and 2024 culminating in a mafia trial with 17 defendants.
Der Bruder des Kronzeugen umgebracht, der Anwalt des Kronzeugen vor der eigenen Haustür erschossen.
Journalist Peter de Vries, who has been in contact with the key witness, was also executed. Shot in broad daylight in the middle of Amsterdam. Mafia intimidation tactics also included an attack on De Telegraaf, a newspaper that had reported on drug cartels. In one raid, Dutch police discovered several soundproof containers used to imprison people, and one set up as a torture chamber. The government had to respond. Rotterdam is now using modern technology to try to curb cocaine trafficking through the port.
We have over 300 cameras in port, and much of them have also the possibility of recognizing number plates. Some of them recognize container numbers, and they have smart software. For instance, if they see a car driving past the fence of a terminal and it is stopping for a short time and it's moving on, then the camera will turn to this car and tells the people that are watching the camera, there's something going on here.
In the Hamburg port area, Alexander and his colleague Mark have pulled over a cargo truck for a customs inspection.
Hallo, einmal Zollkontrolle. English or German? What's better for you? Turkish, no, yes. Turkish, no. English is okay? Okay. Passport ID? Passport ID, ja. Ja, Ladung?
The vehicle is only supposed to be transported to Turkey, so the trailer should be empty.
Can you open these, please? What's this? Is this empty?
Yeah, it's empty, or?
These papers are only for the machines. Do you have papers for these too?
Ja, also, ja, irgendwas Papiere und dafür Papiere.
The cargo has apparently not been declared. The boxes contain pump parts and they're badly secured. The head of customs control explains the procedure when narcotics are found.
We would unload the cocaine depending on the quantity, then take it away as quickly and safely as possible. All further investigations are conducted by the Customs Investigation Office.
The inspection is taking time. The customs officers are waiting for the shipping documents and the trucker's boss.
Now customs control has to determine which goods are on the trailer and which are not, and whether they have really been declared as the driver claims.
Even so, the checks here are relatively relaxed. Customs has been criticized for lacking surveillance technology like tracking devices. And some investigators are calling for better protective equipment, such as automatic weapons, more effective bulletproof vests, and armored vehicles.
Of course, we've adapted our operational strategy somewhat to counter the organized crime structures, which is why we're constantly evaluating our equipment so that we can respond to any dangerous situations. I can't comment on individual threats at this point, but we are generally upgrading. We're staying focused so we can bring everyone home safely at the end of the day.
Our port smugglers have made progress. The straddle carrier driver has found the truck driver, and the container supposedly containing cocaine is loaded onto the trailer. It leaves the terminal unchallenged through an exit meant for empty containers. Its destination is a Hamburg industrial park where the cocaine is to be unloaded. Every port has vulnerabilities that insiders can exploit. For example, terminal operators cannot check every single vehicle leaving a gate. Checks delay the movement of goods, leaving authorities to weigh up security concerns with economic interests. And that's where Rotterdam is trying to encourage more cooperation between investigators and companies.
At one moment in time, we thought that with traditional police work, community policing, criminal investigations, we can catch criminals, but we can't stop smuggling, because for every criminal we catch, new criminals come in. And that's when we turned and asked ourselves what could we do better, and that was getting the companies involved. And that meant that we had to give the companies our insights.
Unlike in Germany, shipping companies and logistics firms are given advance warning here if their employees are being investigated. This allows them to take action and stop any insider wrongdoers. The same applies to new hires, which means companies are held accountable.
If you want to do business and if you want to make money in shipping international goods, fine with me. If you bring drugs within the European community, then you are responsible for bringing the drugs in and you should take measures. And if that costs money, it's your problem.
Back in Germany, Hamburger Hafen und Logistik is a global container handling firm with over 3,600 employees in Hamburg alone. The company has looked at the preventative measures taken in Rotterdam and is also exchanging information with investigators in Hamburg. It has set up an online portal where employees can anonymously report anything they find suspicious. Jon Maurer is the company's compliance officer.
These training sessions are already proving successful, giving us much greater transparency. We have a lot more employees feeling confident enough to speak up or report anything they find unusual.
There have also been technical upgrades. The Pacify app is designed to prevent truck drivers from accessing the port area using false identities and smuggling containers out of the terminal.
This is the successor to the old trucker card. It uses multi-factor authentication. In addition to showing your card at the gate to be allowed in, there's also an automatic identity check to ensure that you really are the person who this authorization was issued to.
Tamper-proof cargo seals are also in the works. Security technology to combat the mafia is costly. Rotterdam has around 20 state-of-the-art X-ray scanners. Hamburg has only one, with outdated technology. This mobile scanner is only on loan from Lübeck Customs. Hamburg has ordered 2 scanners which have to be custom-built. Until then, staff from the smaller port cities of Lübeck or Rostock have to step in.
This is the analysis room. The image analyst sits on the left, and the technician who oversees the whole process sits on the right.
We're not permitted to see what's in this container, nor are we allowed to reveal Björn's last name, but he explains the principle.
This is a printout of a sample X-ray scan. This is the original unprocessed image. These are all supposed to be onions. Depending on the depth, you can make it a little brighter or darker. We look for anomalies in the area of the declared goods. Here, the original image shows the declared onions, but the rest below, in this bright area, are cigarettes. That's when we know we have to take a closer look.
So in the processed image, you can see whether everything is okay or not.
Exactly, which is why we have this tool.
And there's no way of packaging cocaine so that X-rays cannot penetrate the outer shell.
The criminals are very resourceful. Sure, it's possible. We once found barbecue briquettes that were charcoal on the outside, as you would expect. But inside there was cocaine.
We're not told how customs selects which containers to scan, for understandable reasons. But even with 2 new facilities, it would still only be random checks of high-risk containers.
There is a risk management system in place that checks whether a container might contain cocaine based on factors like route, plausibility, the declared cargo, and so on.
Von Plausibilität betreffend den Inhalt der Container und abcheckt. Die Container,
those containers that are searched have already been scanned, but if the results indicate that something seems wrong, we take action. But mindlessly screening millions of containers is useless and completely disproportionate.
The truck with the supposed cocaine shipment has reached the agreed meeting point in the Hamburg suburb of Stellingen. Two other accomplices of the port insiders are waiting there to replace the cocaine with a decoy batch of bananas in a pavilion. One receives phone instructions to photograph the seal. A member of the gang behind the job wants to make sure the container has not yet been opened. Now, Smuggler C reappears. And the three men set to work. But that's as far as they get. Customs and police officers arrest three of the perpetrators. The truck driver has disappeared, but will later be arrested. Investigators call insiders like these the door to the port.
That was really something special, because it was the first time we saw how professionally this door, as it's called, operates at the Port of Hamburg. It's very professional, with lots of little cogs meshing together. The story about the logistics operators at the port was corroborated in various other proceedings, confirming that such a supply chain had developed there.
The site in Hamburg where the group planned to store the cocaine was also well chosen. The assigner of the job had rented storage space in an industrial park, away from main roads and prying eyes. The man, described by the court as a criminal deeply involved in the drug trade, was later arrested in North Macedonia. Investigators tracked him down to his wife's vacation home in Popova Shapka. A police video shows the evidence seized, including forged documents and drugs.
This is a special case because the investigation was very, very successful. We arrested 10 suspects who received what we consider appropriate sentences. We also managed to arrest all of the perpetrators, from the port insiders and the truck driver to the organizer of this cocaine smuggling operation, and bring them to justice.
But this is just one case among thousands. These files are still being processed since investigators cracked several secret communication systems used by organized crime. Among them is EncroChat, a kind of WhatsApp for criminals.
Since summer 2020, we've been facing an exceptional challenge in drug-related crime. French law enforcement agencies succeeded in breaking into crypto systems, which involves an immense amount of work for us. After almost 5 years, this work is now almost complete. But that doesn't mean we're done. It's not as if the criminals who'd been using EncroChat switched to carrier pigeons. The police estimate that we will need 5 years to crack the second major system, Sky ECC.
In our reenacted case, too, the legal proceedings will take years and are far from over. The mastermind, who was arrested in North Macedonia, was sentenced to 10 years in prison. The IT man and the straddle carrier driver were tried separately and each handed a 3-year sentence. Five of the port insiders were sentenced together. The truck driver to 4 years in prison. His accomplice D to almost 5 years. The other 2 men who intended to recover the cocaine were sentenced to nearly 6 and nearly 9 years. E was given 10 years after being caught with fake seals and shipping documents on him. His lawyer planned to appeal, but according to our information, E took his own life in his jail cell, leaving behind a wife and children. A sobering conclusion and message for those dreaming of easy money. In Germany, narcotics legislation allows for a penalty of up to 15 years.
They don't even think about that. They only think about the here and now.
It's definitely right that they got such long sentences. After all, they were accomplices.
Richtig so, weil man ist Mittäter, definitiv.
Cocaine will inevitably continue to be trafficked through Hamburg due to the demand throughout Europe. The port city remains an important gateway for drug syndicates, which is why they will continue to try to recruit port workers. They may be only small players in the billion-dollar drug trade, but they are key figures for the cartels.
Unlike many other employees, I will not be laid off one day because the problem of drug-related crime has been resolved. We are well ahead at the moment because we are better positioned than the other side when it comes to EncroChat, the Port Security Center, and so on. But that can always change. We have to remain alert, and we will.